Welcome to Our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. I'm Aaron Lehman, and today we're going to take a look at some clips from episode 31 featuring Scott Long of ETHOS Digital Advertising.
As these Facebook algorithms and these big tech algorithms were not just how can we match who, what we think is going to mirror your life, but what our agenda is for you, which is to stay on the screen, to stay on your phone, to stay disconnected, to stay angry, to stay engaged, to stay upset, So the more extreme content got jacked way up, and they started doing
all sides of the spectrum.
And it didn't matter. And people were like, well, is it right or left or whatever? It was extreme. It's extreme stuff. Yeah. So kind of the way that it worked is that if somebody posts something about, let's say somebody posts something about anti-vax, well, they know that all the anti-vax people are going to come to support that person, and all the people that are vax people are going to argue against them. And Facebook's laughing all the way to the bank because they don't care. Their agenda isn't the topic. Their agenda isn't the content. Their agenda is people arguing and being divisive so that they keep them on their platform selling them ads the whole time, Yeah. And that's the dirty little secret about these engagement-based ranking systems, from YouTube to Facebook to Instagram to whatever, is that it's not about the content. It's not about what is being said. It's about the effect it has emotionally on people. If I could say anything to end it, it would be amplification is not true. Just because something is amplified 20x or whatever doesn't mean it's true. Yeah. Because you don't know why and the purpose behind that amplification from that particular platform or what that person is doing to amplify it that way. It's often like, why is this so, being pushed out there by this, that, and the other news organization? It's like, well, they have an agenda with that, but that doesn't mean it's true. Just because there's 10 articles about something versus one article about something doesn't mean the 10 are true and the one is false. Right. Right. And if we can remember that, just because it feels like that person is amplifying hate doesn't mean that hate is actually really how they feel. They're maybe amplifying it and it's being amplified, but that doesn't mean that's actually what's happening. And there's countless stories of people who are like, I said something and then it spun out of control to where people thought I was, I hated them, or I hated this, or I was against this, thing. And they're like, I lost control of it after I said it, because the churning of these algorithms went to work, and the churning of these people who wanted to amplify for their own particular gain went to work. Yeah. And if you actually talk to that person, they'd be like, that's not what I meant. I wish I could have said it differently, and please don't think that about me. There are hundreds of these stories, probably more than that, to where it got really, really out of control. And at that point, it's sort of like in the system. And it shouldn't be that way, because honestly, our online lives should mirror our lives, like, why not take a couple of bad photos along with a couple of good photos? Right. It's like, hey, I was there. We were in front of it. I took 17 photos. There were 3 that were bad. Post a couple of those, but that it just doesn't. It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. And so we think everyone's vacation was perfect. We think everyone's opinion is, they have the monopoly on wisdom, and we think everything that's amplified is true. And it's not. Right. So to answer the original question, what's ETHOS Digital Advertising really about? It's taking the wisdom of 13 years of digital marketing, knowing how to do it, applying it, and then working with companies to both do it to grow their business, but also doing it in an ethical way that takes some of the power away from these engagement-based ranking systems to, hey, let's think about not only what we're advertising, how we're advertising it, but the way that we're doing it. And there's a lot of settings you can turn on and off. There's a lot of things on the back end that you can utilize to make sure that the people that, aren't getting inundated over and over and over again, with this material, and you're not using, and sort of when I was using that example earlier, drafting off the authority of other people.
Yeah.
We're not drafting off of the, I don't want to say wickedness, but the questionable moral choices some of these big tech companies have made over the years. We're not drafting off of that and using that for our own monetary gain. I mean, obviously a little bit you have to, because they're the big players, and what are you going to do? So it's taking those principles, taking those ideas, and then saying, like, how do I advertise my company on a digital platform and through all the digital platforms without falling prey to and using sort of the questionable moral choices they've made and profiting off of that.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Those of you ready to dive into my full conversation with Scott, click on the link in the description below. And for those of you who are ready to work with Scott, go to ethosdigitaladvertising.com, and you can also find his contact details in the description below. Thanks for stopping by Our Healing Voices YouTube channel. Excited to be on the journey with you, and sending you lots of love.